Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here tonight with Bruce McCurdy. Hey, Bruce.
Hey David, how you doing tonight?
Excellent. How are you doing, man?
All right, all right. That was a pretty good game tonight, I thought.
That was the first time we've seen the Oilers from this 2024 playoffs in this 24-25 season. They approximated that excellent team that we saw at that time. I thought they played easily their best game of the year. They beat a desperate Nashville team, which had lost its first three games of the year and isn't a bad team at all with good goaltending. They beat them 4-2. And Bruce, the score reflected the flow of play, at least according to our grade A shot totals. We had the grade A shots at 20-12 for Edmonton, with the subset of 5 alarm shots as 11-5 for the Oilers. So the Oilers were about twice as good as the Predators, and that's what the score indicated. And um, it was a high event game and highly entertaining. I wrote the game grades, which are now posted, and I'm always a little frazzled because I'm doing the game grades and the
Scoring
grade A
chance.
scoring chance shots and trying to get
Yeah.
it out right at the end of the game. So it's a bit of a rush. I didn't quite make that deadline, but yeah, I'm always a little bit fried after that kind of effort, especially in a game where so much happened, as happened tonight. So anyway, I'll try to get it all right. Bruce, this is our two good things, two bad things, and two numbers podcast. What's your good thing?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Oilers' stick-to-itiveness in this game. The pretty plays weren't working. Not that they weren't trying. They had some pretty plays, and Saros was up to the task. But the Oilers were able to generate all three of their goals, all four of their goals, really, from sort of second effort, second wave attacks where the first one didn't work. There was a pile up in front because there were guys going to the net, and the puck would work free. And they, in three different cases, it got worked back to the blue line, and then the the danger shot came from outside, but it was all the chaos was already well underway by the guys who had gone to the front of the net, and this would include uh, on Brett Kulak's goal. Uh, uh, Big scramble in front, started by an epic Corey Perry move inside close to the net. This is a move he's done since he used to be in London Knights. I first noticed how good he was at pulling the puck inside and shielding the puck with his body on one side and the side of the net on the other side, and just powering it out in front. And it didn't directly result in a goal. It just was a big scramble, and the um, puck went out to the point, and Kulak's shot got blocked in front, but Janmark won the battle and managed to chip it back to the point, and there was just chaos, guys everywhere, all around Saros, and I don't think he ever saw the second shot from Kulak that went through everybody and found net. Furthest thing from a pretty goal, unless you're a coach. I think
I
the
don't think
coach
it was
probably
Janmark,
loves that goal.
Bruce.
It was Janmark who got the assist on it.
Wasn't on that goal, Perry on
On
the
the
Perry play, on the
on
Skinner goal.
the Kulak goal. Oh, sorry. Yeah,
Oh,
the
because
Perry move was on
you're
the
mixing two goals together.
yeah. The Perry move was on the Skinner goal. You're right. The
Yeah,
Janmark one was just a recovery. Perry was on the ice for both, and that's what
okay.
kind of confused me. He had a good game. I think
Yeah,
probably was
no,
the
it was
second goal where
Ryan. It was Ryan on that first goal
he
who made
made the
the
power move.
initial great play to win the puck, put it back, and then Janmark followed up, and then the shot comes. Yeah,
Right, and
through
then
it through
okay.
Ryan's screen, his flying screen in front. Actually,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah,
Sorry
and
for
so that's why
jumping in there,
no
but
problem. I appreciate the correction. The Perry power move was on the second one, and again that just caused chaos down low in the
sure
low
did.
slot in front of the net. You'll talk about this goal, I think, a little more, so I won't go into a
Yeah,
lot of detail other than it was the chaos in front. This was the one that didn't go back to the point. They just were eventually able to power the puck through everybody and off 2 or 3 bodies and into the net. So then when Nashville tied it 2-2, the McDavid line went to work, and they were finally rewarded. This was just 44 seconds of really good hockey by Edmonton to get that lead right back. And uh, again, it wasn't exactly a work of art, like there was a scoring chance denied in front, but in the continuation of the play, Edmonton won the puck battles to keep the puck alive. And in this case, the outside shot came from Ekholm after Draisaitl worked it back to him, and McDavid tipped it in the slot. It bounced off a Nashville defender, and McDavid grabbed it quickly and was able to make a quick move in front. So, good skill by McDavid. But the furthest thing from a pretty goal, really, it was just a hard-working, just will not be denied, which is all of these goals in this game, including Kulak's clincher into the empty net, which was officially scored unassisted, but again, after the Oilers forwards had gotten the puck deep into Nashville territory, and the Preds were all in putting a vicious hook on McDavid that didn't get called. And
ridiculous. Plus that slash on Pickard with 4 minutes left. Come on. After you call Podkolzin, and then you let that one go on Pickard.
What I did was hit his mask right off, but because he was wearing a mask, he didn't bleed, so I guess there's no penalty. Yeah. Anyway, the one on McDavid, I thought they were just going to go down and pop one in the empty net, but Nashville was able to fend off the Edmonton's 3 primary attackers, but again, chaos, and the puck went back to Kulak inside the blue line. He just wired a shot through everybody and into the short side of the net. And again, I'd say 4 out of 4 goals that were scored on second efforts, where the original attack was thwarted, and the Oilers cleaned up on the chaos that ensued. And they were just very persistent, and that's how they weren't getting the pretty goals tonight, but they still managed to score 4 goals by following up on their chances and creating second looks and having those ones be the ones that found Twine.
Yeah, it was a really gritty effort, Bruce. And I would highlight just the entire third period, because the Oilers are holding a 1-goal lead. So this is period, can they do it? Can they do it? And we, through the decade of darkness, into the McDavid Draisaitl era, we have seen the Oilers with an inability to hold third period leads. Now that changed in the last couple of years. They've gotten better at that. And tonight was just not perfect. That's for sure. They had 5 grade A shots. And Pickard, Nashville Pickard did. Was good. And Pickard just kept battling and making the saves. Like, not only one of them was a 5-alarmer, according to my initial assessment. I can't recall. No, it was not O'Reilly. It was Marchessault's kind of sneaky shot through a moving screen. He was moving in with 8:38 left in the period.
O'Reilly's just about 90 seconds to go. It was pretty.
It's a good shot too. Yeah, and anyway, Pickard battled. They all battled, and they held on to that lead. They just shift by shift, they got it done well enough to win the game. So I agree with you, Bruce. And my good thing is a line that I think kind of epitomized that effort. Skinner, Henrique, and Brown. They didn't play a perfect game. In fact, I think Brown and Henrique were both -1 because they were out for the first goal against. And Brown actually did make a mistake on that goal. He kind of allowed the point shot through. But that line, Bruce, I just was in. Henrique is really impressing me with the smart plays that he makes out there. He's always in the middle of it, and he's often getting the puck out of the Oilers' zone with his smarts. He blocked a key shot on the penalty kill. Connor Brown won a couple battles and cleared the puck, like a couple crucial moments.
He's real good at that.
He really is picking up where he left off in the playoffs, which is, they need Henrique and Brown to be second, third line players. They really need them to play their best games this year if the Oilers are going to win the cup, compete for the cup. And that's what we're seeing from him. And then there's Skinner, who again he seems to have that knack, Bruce, for finding the quiet place on the ice where no one's covering him and he can snap in that goal. And there he was during that huge scramble in front of the net. Just no one's covering him at the side, and pounces on it, sifts it on net, and finds its way into the net. So it seems like that line. I mean, all of these guys have scored a lot of goals in the NHL, and this could be, I see it right now as the Oilers' second line, their second best line, and let me just see if that's backed up with the ice time or not.
It is. I was just looking at that, and it absolutely is backed up with ice time. I'm just looking at even strength ice time.
Yeah.
13:07 for Henrique, 12:32 for Brown, 10:55 for Skinner, compared to Nuge 10:20, Arvidsson 8:13, and Podkolzin, who was mostly the left wing, although Janmark saw some of that time in the third period, 9:11. And so the fourth line played almost as much as the second and third line as well. Perry played 10:28, Janmark played 12:33, and Ryan had 9:06, and this is all at even strength. So really, you had second, third, and fourth line all playing about 10 minutes at 5-on-5, and only the big line a little bit separate. McDavid 15 minutes. So
yeah, Nuge is struggling a bit. Nuge is struggling a bit. He's about a skate length behind the play, a beat behind reading the game the way he usually does. And I think we're seeing it on the power play and at even strength. I think he's been okay on the kill generally, but he's not leading his line to great success right now. And I thought he was probably the Oilers' weakest player in the game. But that line, fortunately, the Henrique line is there. And this is a line of veteran players that has been put together in the last couple of years by the Oilers, by combination of Ken Holland and Jeff Jackson. And it's a really good line. It's really good. And it's the second line. And you have a top line. Like, it just, to me, it changes everything for the Oilers, because there was always a problem before of loading it up with McDavid and Draisaitl, in that if that line was thwarted, as will happen, they just had nothing. Yeah. They just couldn't get it going. But if you have a second line like this, and then other lines also kind of chipping in now and then, but especially a second line like that, the Oilers have become a much tougher team, far more difficult to beat, and much more likely to beat you, because they can roll these lines and get solid play shift after shift, and that's what they got in this game, and that's why they won the game. What's your bad thing, Bruce?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the 2-2 goal, and I'm going to roll the tape all the way back to the time of the goal. 3 minutes and 25 seconds before the goal went in. This is a very delayed cause and effect, with the cause being the double minor penalty that Vasily Podkolzin took. And technically, I mean, his stick hit the guy in the face and drew blood. 4 minutes. I mean, maybe he's lucky it's not 1990 and he didn't get 5 in a game for that, because it used to be non-negotiable. You cut a guy, you're out of the game. But so unlucky. Like, he's reaching with one hand on his stick. He's actually swinging the stick down to take a small chop at his opponent's stick, just as the opponent is shooting the puck into the zone, and it's his momentum and his stick movement that catches Podkolzin's shaft, bounces it right up into his own face for a very minor cut. What a 4-minute friggin' penalty for that. And then and I was criticizing the refs. I think they have to make that call. I just hate the I guess there's no discretion. They have calls where they have discretion and you question the discretion. Then you have other calls where I don't, and you just kind of question the rules sometimes when you get some of these borderline cases. Like Pod Colson did nothing that was like 1% vicious there. Or anyway,
A good
so
hit.
they killed the first penalty. They killed a minute and 25 of the second penalty, and they were finally able to work the puck out and dump the puck deep. Now, a key fact here is this is in the second period, so the Oilers bench is a long way away from the defensive zone, and they Nugent Hopkins ices it down, and he and Ryan went
Ryan.
rushing off to the bench, and then the D partners, I think Emerson first, and then Kulak behind him. They decided they're going to go and make a change. So of course, the defensive change, instead of the bench being on the defensive blue line, it's out at center, just past center, you get to the gate. And UC Saros, who's a whale of a goaltender and had a pretty good game tonight, he read it well, and he just came out and picked off that new shoot in before it got to the goal line and immediately just whizzed it back up on the penalty box side away from where the changing players were. And Nashville came rushing in. And the Oilers' new team and pardon me, were out on the ice and sort of in the play, but they weren't really
Not
in
really.
position.
No.
And
Playing
so
catch up.
Ekholm came over. Yeah, yes, they were. Ekholm came over and tried to cut out the pass and couldn't. And Nurse came over and tried to get to the guy who deflected it in and couldn't. And Pickard, I wasn't thrilled with how he played it because he pulled away from the short side post and the guy just beat him on the short side with the deflection. And what I'm pretty sure happened there, if you look at the replay, is it was an aerial pass and it looked like Pickard was sort of reading where's it going to land on the ice. That's the conflict point. I'm going to go to that. And the guy charging toward the net actually deflected it out of the air before it ever got to that point. And because Pickard's read, he was actually sliding away from where, the goal scoring shot came from. A little bit bad luck and, very good deflection. Credit where due again. But just a whole bunch of, stuff happening and credit to UC Saros first and foremost. But the two D men making the long change. I mean, in that situation, maybe you're doing well to get even one of those guys off. But if you want to get two of them off, you got to be dumping the puck where there's no opponent can get it for a couple seconds, including the goalie. And he got it. He got it up. To the Oilers' credit, they fought back and they got that goal back very next shift.
Huge.
They went out determined to get it, and they got it back, and that was the game breaker. But the 2-2 was sort of a series of unfortunate events.
Well, it was the most dreaded of all hockeyological phenomenon to put a spin on an old Bill Matheson line about the weather.
I remember him well. Yes.
It's coded in our coding of the games when we look at grading shots. It's a ABLC, the against bad line change, and man, it is the last thing you want to see in a game. It's a killer, and I just think I can see why they thought they would have had time, but they needed to have their heads up and realize they didn't. The two defensemen, at least Emberson and Kulak. Just stay back,
you
take
got fresh forwards coming.
Take a deep breath. Yeah, you got some fresh forwards. They're going to help you out.
Got 5 seconds to catch your breath, but you don't have 10 seconds to go to the bench and have the new guys come out.
You do not, and it's a shame because that was Emerson's best game. Like I thought he did a lot better moving the puck. I thought he was fairly solid in this game. He looked okay, but that was. For him and Kulak, that was a bad mistake. And of course, Kulak has 2 goals to go to bed on and have a big smile on his face as he's dreaming of the game. But Emerson, he's going to be thinking about that. But he did have a pretty good game otherwise. Ty Emerson.
He was +1 on the night.
Yeah, I thought he was fine, and he made some. Generally speaking, he was moving the puck well and defending well and keeping out of trouble. But
a couple real nice sequences from him where he did both those things. First defended and then got the puck to a good space. Nothing flashy, but sharp.
Yeah. My bad thing is the first Nashville goal. And so I hate to single it out, but there wasn't a lot of bad in this game. I just thought there was one player who was a little below average. I thought that was Nuge. But other than that, they played well. And Stetcher and Nurse, who were both prime culprits on this goal, really played well. Stetcher, 2 games with Nurse, 2 wins for the Oilers. Who knew?
Mm.
He really, I think he really does help Nurse. I thought Nurse had a good game. I loved his fight, standing up for Podkolzin, who got blasted with a hit by that gigantic McCarron, and Nurse fought McCarron. That is the kind of early season team building that goes a long way, I think, Bruce. And the Oilers have had a couple of instances of this now after maybe not standing up for Skinner and against Calgary when he got slashed. So great to see Nurse do that. But on this play, he starts off the sequence of pain with he gets stick checked. He loses the puck. Henrik knocks it to the boards, but it's quickly gobbled up, passed to the point. Connor Brown is covering 2 players and he takes the wrong one. There's an outside shot and it's tipped into the net from in front. Stetcher's on the man in front, but this is like one of the hardest defensive plays, is covering the man in front as he's going for the tip and his stick's kind of away from you.
Yeah.
You know, he was
behind the guy and the guy was facing the point man, reaching forward to make the tip. Like, I don't know what it is really we expect the defenseman to do to defend against it on a shot like that.
Shot front the guy, I don't know. Anyway, it's what we call the Californian.
It's not easy.
The Californian is a tipped shot from the point. And you love it when your team scores on the Californian. You're likely to win if you can get 1 or 2 of those. And it hurts when they score on that kind of play. And we call it the Californian in honor of Brent Burns and Joe Pavelski, who pulled off that play innumerable times against the Oilers in the Decade of Darkness. So that's our little homage to that fantastic San Jose trio. Anyway, it was that play.
Anaheim and LA were all doing it too. That's why it's the Californian and not the Anaheimian.
That's true, Bruce. Yeah, or the San Jose.
They all had these big forwards that Oilers could not handle in front of the net.
Yeah. Oh, we just saw that goal so many. And the Oilers, and of course, the Oilers could hardly ever score that kind of goal themselves in that time period. They were probably outscored on Californians 3 or 4 to 1 in the Decade of Darkness, I'm guessing. They just couldn't manufacture that kind of goal at all. And now they can. And that's one of the reasons they're winning. Anyway, it was a tough play, and the Nurse, anti-Nurse faction will be out in full force because he did have the puck slashed off his stick, but it was a kind of a marginal mistake.
Henrique bopped it over to the board, so they wound up with the puck, but in a very kind of undangerous spot until,
Well, they did make a quick pass, to the point.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was a bad thing. It's always a bad thing when a Californian scored against you because it's more of a bad thing in a bad luck kind of way. Although, again, the good teams execute that play and the bad teams allow that kind of play. So it's more than just bad luck. It comes down to having the execution and the personnel to score that kind of goal. So, your number, Bruce.
Yeah, I've got my numbers revolve around Darnell Nurse. And first of all, I'm just going to quickly revisit my style of numbers from last game that I covered in depth in my pregame post today.
Yeah.
Ice time for defensemen. 23 minutes for Bouchard, 22 and a half for Ekholm, 21 and a half for Nurse. Then it bumps down to 17 and a half for Kulak, 15 and a half for Stetcher, 14 and a half for Emberson. So again, like a 4-minute gap between 3 and 4. Normally you'd think the second pairing would get kind of similar minutes. But again, some of that is special teams. Nurse played 3 minutes on the penalty kill and 2 minutes on power play. And Kulak, who was next in line in ice time, played 2 minutes on the penalty kill and none at all on the power play. So that was a significant amount of the difference. Anyway, Nurse's own personal stats from this game, in addition to having an assist +1 and a 5-minute major with 3 shots on net and 3 block shots, but his on-ice stats were just solid right across the
Oh, they
board.
were.
57% Corsi, 69% shots. The shots were 11-5 for Edmonton at 5-on-5 when he was out there, and uh, 7-5 in scoring chances according to Natural Statistics definition. 7-1 in high danger chances, and for expected goals, 78%. He had a real solid game. And the eyeball said that, and the stats say that. And usually, when those two agree with each other, you've got a pretty solid foundation of saying the guy played pretty well. And you can always pick and find a mistake or 2 or 5 in Darnell's game because he never plays a mistake-free game. He just
It's
doesn't,
not.
right? He's
Yeah.
a proactive player. He does a lot of things. They don't all work out. Tonight he was strong, and I thought he was a real positive. And that is a real positive for the Edmonton Oilers because they were really counting on him as the number 3 with a bunch of, relative, they got bottom pairing guys and they got Nurse beyond the great top pairing. They
I
only have
gave him,
one proven second pairing defenseman, and that's
yeah,
Nurse.
I gave him a 7 out of
That's fair.
10. Yeah, that was the second. I gave Bouchard an 8 because
Mhm.
Bouchard's offensive game was on fire tonight. And Kulak also got a 7. Stetcher and Nurse played about the same time at even strength, and Kulak wasn't much behind them. So that's at even strength, they seem to be. Stetcher was at what, 1539, and Nurse was at 1544.
Yeah, well, that
So
is almost the same, yeah.
yeah, so nothing
But
much to
it's
separate them there. So at even strength, they're seem to be evening things out here a bit.
well,
But
through 4 games, the big 3 were, playing more minutes at even by a couple minutes, and they were all playing like big minutes on special teams more than the other 3
yeah,
and the other 4. And between power play, Bouchard mostly, and penalty kill, Ekholm and Nurse mostly as the primary pairing, those guys were each averaging 4 minutes a night on special teams through the first 3 games, and I don't suppose that changed a whole lot in this game.
yeah.
In
So
fact, they
Bruce,
all they all played more than 4 minutes.
my number is the big lines grade A shot totals. They didn't put up a lot of points. McDavid had a goal, Draisaitl an assist, and Hyman had nothing in terms of
Yeah,
points. But they could
he's got
easily have
nothing.
had 2, 3, or 4 points each. Draisaitl chipped on 12 grade A shots.
Oh,
If you get above 10, you're killing
wow,
it on
that's a
the
great game.
attack. That, yeah, it is. And I gave him a 9 actually because just and we didn't have him as making a mistake on a grade A shot against. So he finally came to life in this game, and it was about time. He did get injured over the summer, or in the playoffs, excuse me, and was recuperating over the summer. And so his timeline for getting ready for the season might be a little delayed. And I think that's what we saw with Draisaitl early on here. McDavid was McDavid. He was flying out there, absolutely determined to win. And I thought they would win this game fairly early on because of the way he was playing. He was in on 10 grade A shots, and so was Hyman. So
Where's that?
again and again and again, and Hyman had a
Oh,
great shot on net, like a one-timer shot. I think it was at even strength, and he didn't score. Draisaitl he got off his executioner shot in the third period. He didn't score. They had some great chances. McDavid broke in early in the game, and
very early, and Saros
Pickard
got a
just
little tiny piece of
yeah,
that.
excuse me, Saros, yeah, just got a wee bit of it. So what a fantastic hockey game from those guys. And I hope they can. I think we'll see the same lines against Dallas. And
Yeah,
it'll be interesting to
why
see
not?
if McDavid and Draisaitl can carry it over because they're going. They're
Mhm.
going good. And that's great to see.
Yeah, well, I'd make the case all 4 lines are going pretty good tonight, and they rolled them over and they all contributed. But that first line is, first pairing is just way better than the rest of the team, the rest of the league, really. There's very few teams that can put out a quintet to match the one Edmonton can roll over the boards. And
Yeah.
tonight, they had a big impact. I thought McDavid was easily going to get 3 or 4 points the way he was skating and dangling. And in the end, all he got was the game-winning goal. If you're going to get 1 point, might as well be that one.
Huge moment late in the second period, they score. That's always a good omen as well. Like if you
Yes.
as you watch hockey, if you the team that scores late in the second period to take the lead, I wonder how often they win the game. Like it's just got to be off the charts. So Saturday in Dallas, Bruce.
Afternoon.
Saturday. Thanks for that.
2 p.m. start at Dallas, the second of a 2-game roadie, where you and I agreed the other night they had to win at least one of the games, and now that's been done. But you might as well set the sights of coming back home at 500 and just, bury this sort of really bad opening few games as quickly as possible. Don't have it stretching into December and January where you're still looking up at the 8th playoff spot. None of that. Let's just keep winning as of
Excellent.
now.
Indeed, I agree.
I thought they looked good tonight. Like they looked like a team. They had some real sort of coordination to their play, and they were supporting each other, and they were winning puck battles and getting those second chances in large part because of that. And they were the better team, deserved to win.
For sure. Hey, Bruce, before we leave, I want to go off script a little bit here.
Okay.
I listened to something called the Zoe podcast, and I want to recommend it to people.
Okay.
If you're, I'm quite interested in fitness and health news, nutrition news, and been keenly interested in it now for the last 4 or 5 years. And it's hard to find really good information, especially on nutrition. It's all over the place. And so the Zoe podcast, there's something called the Zoe Society, ZOE in England. And what they do on this podcast is they interview the top experts in the United Kingdom on nutrition, all kinds of health and nutrition issues, mainly nutrition. And I find they're talking to the scientists who do the actual research and, really top experts in the field. So it's not coming from, often it's like, if you're listening to one expert, you'll get that person's take, and maybe they're selling a product, or maybe they have biases. So you're getting kind of one view. The Zoe podcast seems to present more of a consensus view of various experts on these issues. So it's a free podcast, but what they ask for is that if you listen to it and you like it, that you recommend it to other people. So I'm fulfilling my duty, I feel, to that podcast, but also to people who are interested in this kind of thing. I do think it's credible information. It is from reputable top scientists and health experts. So if this is something that you're interested in, make it part of your podcasting schedule.
Zoe, is that an acronym? It's a woman's name to me.
I don't even know that, Bruce.
Okay.
It's the Zoe Society.
What the hell would it stand for?
I don't know.
Anyway.
ZOE, yeah. Anyway.
Apparently there's a Zoe Adoption Society in Edmonton.
Are you just Googling it?
Pet adoptions.
Yeah,
the first one that came up was Edmonton. Hey, wait a minute.
Yeah, there isn't.
England?
There's no Zoe Society in North America, as far as I know. It's
right.
Located in the UK. So, alrighty, Bruce, I want to thank you for talking tonight.
All right. Thanks for listening, everyone.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast. And stop recording.